This show immediately gets my highest recommendation as it features a 2D anime character punching a CG bear in the face. I don't want to jump the gun or anything, but Spring Anime Season 2018, you're doing a really great job. There have been so many amazing shows this season, and that brings us to today's video, my review of the very first episode of, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Golden Kamuy, which is a gritty war Japanese Western story all about searching for some lost gold and fighting against giant, monstrous bears. This was a really great first episode, and damn near perfect in my opinion. I'm going to go ahead and give the score for this episode right here, because my only complaint about this one are the ridiculous CG bears. There's a scene in this episode where this soldier and this young girl fight against this massive bear, and it's done in this CG style, which just looks completely out of place. It's laughable in some parts, but even with that, this episode is completely sold by its premise and the introduction of its two main characters, which are already going to be, I think, an amazing pair. In particular, the main character himself, Saichi Sugimoto, Immortal Sugimoto as he is known, is an ex-soldier from the Japanese army who fought in the Russo-Japanese war, and now he is trying to go on a noble mission to try and help out his fallen friend's wife by repairing her eyesight, but he needs the money to do so. Luckily, he finds out the method in this episode right here. He learns of a lost gold, which was found by a man in Hokkaido who eventually was imprisoned, and before he was in jail, he actually managed to hide this gold. And he told a couple of his confidants and followers about this, and even inscribed in ink on their bodies with tattoos in prison an actual map which will bring you to where this gold is. The only way that you can find this gold, however, is if you locate all of these prisoners. Some of them might actually still be in the prison, some of them might be on the other end of the earth. The search begins. This is such a simple but awesome premise. I absolutely love it. And the build-up to the actual action in this episode was just palpable. The first half of the episode is a straight introduction to the main character of Saichi Sugimoto. Like I said, he's an ex-soldier, and there is a great scene in the episode where we get to learn of his motivation, where he's sitting in the trenches with his friend, who's lamenting over the fact that he's not going to be able to return home. What I love about this scene is that at first it looks like they're just there waiting for a battle or in between battles, but really what's going on here is that his friend is sort of saying his final words as he's dying, and Saichi looks around and notices all of his comrades who are dead and bleeding out, guts all over the place. His friend Taraji right next to him, his arms are just missing altogether. All this after lamenting about his poor wife whose eyesight is going, and that leads us to Saichi's actual motivation. He needs this money in order to help out his dead friend's wife. It's a noble motivation, but it's also going to be backed up by his very violent military career. He got the title of Immortal Sugimoto because he was really tough and never died, and it's also implied that he has killed a lot of people. And by the way, this is a pretty intense series. Not only is there just tons of violence, but there's not only a bear who is getting ripped open with a knife, but we also get to have a scene where Saichi, the main character, quite literally skins a human just to get the map off their back. It's pretty messed up stuff, but the first half of the episode is also an introduction to the actual story of finding this gold, which is inscribed in the tattoos on these people's backs, and it's done by this old man who eventually is revealed to actually be one of these prisoners and even has the map on his back, and he even gets so freaked out about actually telling Saichi about this story that he tries to kill him, but then just ends up running away. But when he does this, he ends up getting attacked by a bear, which just like rips his stomach out and leaves him in a pile of snow. When Saichi finds him, he discovers that he does have the map on his back, but he's also suddenly being attacked by another bear. That's when this new girl appears, who's got a really great design. She's known as an Ainu, which I believe are like the natives of Hokkaido, and they have a very interesting culture altogether, even when compared to traditional Japanese culture, and that's reflected a lot in the character design of this girl, who goes by the name of Asirpa. I believe that's how you pronounce her name, and she's just awesome. She has a bow and arrow arrow, she has a knife, she's super smart and not too condescending. I immediately saw her as a character who was going to butt heads a lot with Saichi, but she's surprisingly helpful with him and genuinely wants to help him out a lot. And seeing these two characters come together is great because they end up having similar motivations, where apparently her father or grandfather, I completely forgot, it's one of the two, apparently was killed by one of these guys who found the gold, or even the main guy himself, who's still locked away somewhere, and she wants to find out about that. Saichi wants to get the gold. That's when they realize that they can actually work together and form a really strong partnership. And we get to see that partnership work in this episode as they realize that the bear that was attacking them was not the actual bear that killed that guy. There's a monster bear out there who never hibernates and just kills everything. And that's when suddenly the episode turns into The Revenant, as we see them getting ready to set up a trap and try to fight against this bear and try to drag it into the firelight so they can get a clean shot and take it out. But suddenly this thing appears like freaking Jason Voorhees, like right in front of Saichi, in a scene that I have to admit is supposed to bring about dread, but honestly it was kind of funny when that big CG bear face just popped up out of nowhere, and that's when they have to end up fighting against it in a very tense scene where eventually it ends with the bear getting stabbed with his massive bayonet gun. It's just a really thrilling sequence, to say the least. And that's when we finally get the partnership between Saichi and Asirpa. And we get that very disturbing scene where he's actually cutting off the skin of that one guy who has the map on his back. And that's when he forms the partnership with Asirpa, and the series officially begins. What's the rundown on this episode? This was great. Going into this blind was the best thing that I could have possibly done, as I just expected a war story. Nothing like this. And you just insert some Ennio Morricone music, the Ecstasy of Gold in here, and it's going to immediately feel like a classic Western. I was a little afraid of that at first, too, because my knowledge of Japanese history is zilcho. I just watch a lot of cool, kick-ass Japanese cartoons. I thought this was going to be like watching Drifters, where I was just completely lost in all the references that were being thrown. All you really need to know in this is that it's an ex-soldier looking for some lost gold to save his dead friend's wife. It just works. It's simple motivation, and it's backed up by a character who's just frankly awesome. I love the design of this character too. I can already tell this guy's going to be popular at anime conventions. Prepare to get those bayonet guns stolen from the staff, by the way. But still, this was a great introduction to Saichi, his story, and I can't wait to see where this is going, as this has been an ongoing manga series, and it's been going on for a little while, so I'd like to see like how much water this series is actually going to hold. But man, what a great first impression. I didn't even talk about the wolf that came out of nowhere in this episode to fight against the bear. That was awesome. Even though it was a CG wolf, it somehow looked a little better than the bear. I don't know. I think they tried to make the bear look a little too realistic. I don't mean to talk about that scene so much, but it just, like I said, it stuck out so much, and it just looked so out of place. But even with that, this was a really good first episode right here, and I can't wait to see the rest of Golden Kamuy. For a first episode, I'm giving this one a 4 out of 5. You guys need to check this one out. I'd love to get your thoughts about the episode. If you already did watch it, tell me all of them in the comments section below. If you liked the series, if you didn't like the series, what do you think of the CGI bear, and what do you want to see from the rest of the Golden Kamuy anime series? So thank you guys so much for watching this review. Make sure to check out the channel for all sorts of new reviews. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, stay down, baby.